Welcome students. So in the process of market and demand analysis, now in this class we will learn about the primary data collection and the market surveys process, which is very useful component of the total market and demand analysis and identifying the project potential or maybe the new potential for the product or the services or maybe setting of the new ventures. So in the previous lecture we talked about the secondary data analysis and or maybe the secondary data not analysis but the collection or the importance of the secondary data, because that is the beginning point of the data collection or the information collection. So in this process we will be moving forward, and after the secondary data collection or having broad idea about how the market is going to happen or how the market is going to work or how the market is going to respond to your product or the service. So the supplementation, or we can supplement the secondary data with the primary data, and primary data or the market surveys are the most important component of getting the data, and then together both secondary and the primary data can be analyzed and the relevant inferences can be drawn, and those inferences can help us to forecast demand for the product or the service which we are going to come up with in the time to come when we are going to set up a new project, a new venture or a new enterprise. So in this case, we all understand that secondary information, though useful, often does not provide a comprehensive basis for the market and demand analysis. It's not sole thing, it's not the sole source of data. You cannot only rely upon the secondary data that yes, this is going to help us and we are going to maybe draw some relevant inferences on the basis of the secondary data. No, it needs to be supplemented with the primary information gathered through a market survey. It's very clearly written here. If you read it very clearly, if it's mentioned here that it needs to be supplemented with the primary data and the primary information, and that which is collected with the help of the market survey. So a market survey have a very significant importance, and with the help of that say significance of those market surveys or the significant say process of collecting the primary data with the help of the market surveys, we will have to collect the primary data, we have to conduct the market surveys, and it may be a census survey or it may be a sample survey. But largely it happens to be a sample survey, because conducting the census survey may not be possible many a times. Because we all understand the difference, the census and the sample. Census means you will go to each and every unit of the entire population. This means census means the whole population, the whole market. If you are going to say you're going to introduce a product in one city, and if you want to conduct a census survey of the customers in that city, it means you have to go to each and every household, each and every user. You have to ask them, you have to get the data, you have to collect the information from each and every user, which is not possible and which is not desirable also. Because if the sample survey is carefully drawn, designed, in that case that survey can be more representative, it can give us some more valid results, it can be more useful information, and a sample, if it is carefully maybe designed and the sample survey is carefully conducted, is going to be equally effective, maybe sometimes more effective as compared to the census survey. So normally we go for the sample survey process. We take a sample which is unbiased, which is representative, and on the basis of that we collect the data. So important information, that's a very say important component. That's $1 million question, that what kind of the information you want to seek in the primary say survey or with the help of the primary data collection. So as it is written here, that the information to be collected may relate to one or more of the following aspects. So number one is total demand and rate of growth of the demand. What is the total demand available in the market? Though it can be known from the secondary sources also. Secondary data is also going to help us that how much is the total demand for that product or services existing in the market, or we can find out with the help of the primary data also, and what is the growth rate of that demand. That will be very important component. So we will have to know about it and we have to estimate the growth rate of the demand also. Demand in the different segments of the market. That's another important component. That information should also come to us. Demand in the different segment of the market. Maybe for example, if the product is useful by all, any person can buy their product or any person can use their product. So, for example, you talk about the specs, you are going to manufacture the specs, and specs can be used by anyone, men, women, even these days children, young people, anybody can use it. So, what is the total demand in the market? How many people are there? How much demand is there? At what rate the demand for the spectacles is growing in the market? And in the different segments, what is the demand? What is its growth rate? And what kind of the products are required in the market? So, segment say wise demand analysis can also be done. The data can be collected. So, that is going to serve a very, very important purpose for us. Income and price elasticity of the demand. Is there anything something called as the income and price elasticity of the demand, right? If the income of the people increases, do people start asking for more product or services of the kinds, or it does not affect the, it has no relationship with the income. Similarly, the price, if there is a change in the price, so do people start buying more, maybe if the price goes down, do people start demanding more product or services of that particular product or service which we are going to manufacture or generate, or there is no effect of the price. So, income and price elasticity, we have to measure, we have to take care of that. Income going up, more demand; income going down, less demand; price going up, less demand; price going down, more demand. Is this kind of the situation happens? So that we can target the people with the different income groups, or we can target upon the component which is the most important in case of any product or the service, there is a price. Because the Karshan Bhai kept the focus on the price. It was natural also. The product was like that, and finally means how he manufactured the product and he distributed and brought it to the market. It was kept, the price was kept under control, and that was the secret of the success. So, that is a very important component. So, income and the price elasticity have to be taken into consideration. Motives for buying, right? Motives for buying, why people are buying it. You can say you are going to manufacture a product which is a necessity of the people. You are going to buy a product which is a comfort for the people, or it is a luxury for the people, right? If it is a necessity, scope for the success of that product and the new product in the market is more. I was talking to you about is, for example, mustard oil. I was talking to you about is that was spices. You can, without making very huge investment in the market, you can easily start manufacturing these products. These are the consumer products. Karshan Bhai when started the Nirma, or maybe that washing powder, his investment was not very large. Small plant, small investment, because the product is not requiring huge investment. Input cost is not very high. So, in case of the mustard oil also, in case of the spices also, you can start with a small scale level, and then you can grow over a period of time when the demand for the product increases, or for the your maybe service increases in the market. So, motive for buying. So, if it is a consumer product, though the competition is more, but the possibility of the demand and success of the new product will also be high, provided the quality is taken care of, price is taken care of, right. Second thing is the comforts. So, if it is a comfort, even you can find out that there also people are now, because the income level of the people in all the economies is going up now. India, though the market is price sensitive, but the income level of the people is slowly going up. So, it means people are looking, after fulfilling their basic requirement, they are looking towards the comforts. So, if it is in the comforts category, you have to focus upon that how many alternatives are there in the market, the substitutes are there in the market, what is the level of competition, and where I can find the place with my product, and I can provide the extra comfort to the people for the given price, given quality, or given after sales service. So, that way you have to analyze it. And if it is a luxury product, then yes, you have to be very careful while analyzing it, because it is not the compulsion for the people. Neither is going to give you the basic comforts to them. So, they will only select the products which are fulfilling their demands, and in this segment the buyers are more informed. They are more educated, they are more informed, they demand more by giving you less as a supplier or as a manufacturer. So, you have to be very careful. So, motive is means setting up the motive, knowing the motive, understanding the motive of buying that product or service is another important consideration. Purchasing plans and intentions. Why people want to buy it, and what are their purchasing plans? In what way they buy it? For example, people say house is a necessity for the people, and when, because house is going to be something which is very expensive, it requires a large investment. So, there can be some set of the people who may like to buy the house with 100% down payment. But there can be the larger segment of the people who would like to buy a house, a flat under the CLP, construction linked plan. So you have to see how many people are there in the market who want to buy the house, the flats for the down payment, so that they can get some discount from the builder, from the supplier, so they save some money. So they have some surplus funds, they can buy a house, they can give the 100% amount. They want to ready to move house, and they want some discount also. They want good quality also. So that kind of the things will be the requirement of the person who is supplying the ready to move houses and who is interested in selling in the process of down payment 100%. But the companies who are supplying it under the CLP mod, so they have to analyze it. What is the total market, total population, what is the income level of the people, and then purchasing plans of the people and intentions of the people, why they are buying the houses, whether they are making investments or they are buying it for their own purpose, how they would like to pay, whether it's a CLP, it has to be a down payment or anything. So everything is important for us, and we have to collect that particular data. And satisfaction with the existing product is the most important point, because why the new product will come in the market when the people are little less satisfied or dissatisfied with the existing products. If they are less satisfied, the scope is very good. If they are dissatisfied, scope is extremely good. But if they are already satisfied, in that case, you have to be very careful. Either you have to tell them that you are satisfied with something which is very less being given to you. If something more is given to you, you would like to buy it, and your satisfaction level will further increase. See, when Jio came to the market, these four companies, Airtel, Vodafone, this BSNL and Idea, this Vela Group, they were already giving you the services, and we never knew that the cost of the data, the pricing of the data, as well as the talk time can be so low as we are enjoying it today. When Jio came to the market, Jio understood that India is a price sensitive market. So, number one, quality of service is the most important thing, but before that, the most important thing is the price. The people who seem to be satisfied with the current services also, as far as the price is concerned, but if there is a scope for the further reduction in the price, and that reduction in the price we can do and pass on to the people, so their satisfaction level will further increase. So that is the loophole that they found out, that loophole is there, because internet services are not that much expensive as the Airtel is selling in the market or was selling in 2016. All those four players were selling in the market. So they understood it, that there is a possibility of reducing the price, there is a possibility of improving the service, and though people seem to be satisfied with the current suppliers also, but when there is a scope for the improvement, so why not to give that, pass on that further scope, that satisfaction level, to increase the satisfaction level of the people, and then to go ahead with the better services as compared to the existing players. So, and when it was brought in the market by Jio, you can understand that what was the pace of the growth of the Jio, acceptance of the services by the people, and maybe the response which the customers gave to Jio. And as a result of that, it's a win-win situation for Jio also. They got the market, very huge market. It's the second largest player in the market after Airtel in India now. And people got the reduction, huge reduction in the prices. The price which we pay for the data, the price which we pay for the talk time, most of the people consider it as a free. And look at the prices which were there in the market before 2016 or 2016 and before. What was the price we were paying? We are using the data in one day, 1.5 GB or 2 GB data that we were using for whole of the month, and almost the price was same. So you have to understand, with the help of the primary data collection, that satisfaction with the existing products is what, and if there is any scope for the improvement, we will have to give that best thing to the people, so that new service is accepted, new product is accepted, and people become the buyer, or they start demanding, and they grow with the product, the market grows with the product, and market expands. Unsatisfied needs, same thing we were talking about, that people should be, maybe we have to find out, are they unsatisfied on any account? We have to be very careful that if they are unsatisfied, we will have to find out that particular thing, the level of unsatisfaction and the cause of that unsatisfaction, and try to plug that gap. Chances of the success of the new product or services are more. Attitude towards various products. So how people look at it. and you can distribute in terms of the say the necessities. Anyway, we have to have it. Food we wanted, clothing we wanted, shelter we wanted. Comforts we become little choosy, and luxuries we become really very selective, and there we become the king, that if I want to buy something, then why should I buy it, and how much price should I pay for this particular product or the service. So attitude is a very important thing. So to make the attitude favorable for your product or your service, you have to give everything best to them. And in that case, if we are able to do that, it means people are going to buy the product, subscribe to their service, and it's going to be a huge success for the new vendor in the market. Then distributive trade practices and the preferences, right? So you have to call it as that what are the preferences of the people, and how we have to distribute the product, how we have to take the product from the place of production to the place of consumption, and how we have to take it to the people. So distribution process has to be customer free. It has to have take the minimum time, the time when the customer wants the product, it should be available. So distribution process should be very consumer friendly, user friendly, so that there is a minimum time lag and people are not waiting for. Sometimes people pay in advance and they have to wait for their service, and if the time period for that service is too long, sometimes it leads to a dissatisfaction or causing some ill will for that company, and maybe he may not like to buy it again, he may not recommend the company to, or he or she may not recommend the company or their product to the others, and this can become a serious issue. And last thing is the socio-economic characteristics of the buyers, right? So social fabric is very important. Economic conditions of the people are very important. Though we all understand India is a price sensitive economy, it's a very important fact that it's a price sensitive economy, and anything which comes in the market which is lesser in price and good in quality, if you are able to maintain the quality for a lesser price as compared to your competitors, certainly you can see that 70% chances are there the product is going to be successful, and more if it is a necessity, even up to comforts also. In luxuries also, sometimes people may not care for the price, they go for the service. So there the price may not play a very important role, but in case of the necessities, in case of the comforts, price plays a very important role, economic condition of the people plays a very important role, social fabric also plays a very important role. So you have to analyze all these factors very carefully, and the paying capacity of the people, economic conditions of the people, growth trend of India. That is a very important thing, or the market in which we are going to be. At what rate the market is growing, at what rate the preferences of the people for the different products and services are going up. All these things we have to evaluate and measure, and this all is the primary information, primary data which we are going to get. That information is going to be very useful for us, and that information is going to help us to draw very meaningful inferences as far as the market and demand analysis is concerned. Now we talk about that when we go for the primary data collection. So we have to go through the sample method, not through the census method, because going to each and every unit of the population is sometimes not feasible and neither it is desirable. It requires more resources and it gives you not better results as compared to the sample survey. So largely we go for the sample survey, and when you go for the sample survey, we have to see, we have to look at, we have to identify the steps involved in the sample survey, and here are some 7 steps which are involved in the sample survey. First one is define the target population, to whom you want to bring the product in the market or service in the market. You can go segment wise also, you can go by the income group level of the people wise also, you can go in any other way geographically also, that this is my target population. Sometimes you can say I am not going to launch a product for the urban India or urban markets because more competition is there. Each and every player is in the urban markets. I want to distribute in the rural markets. I want to tap the rural market. So you have to get the information from the rural market. You have to get the data from the rural India or the rural market. Second thing, next thing, select the sampling scheme and the sample size. So sample, it has to be simple random sampling. It has to be a random sampling, so that, because when it is a random sampling, the chances of the biasness are very less. You have to randomly pick the units and you have to decide the sample size which should be sufficiently representative. So maybe if the population size is small, you can go up to 10%, you can go even more than that also. But if the population size is very large, so you have to select a size of the sample which is more representative. These days we have the mathematical formulas which are helping you to decide the sample size. You can refer to those formulas, and you have to have something, the data or the sample of the people or respondents, which is really representative. Next thing is develop the questionnaire. This is a very, very important, it's a very, very critical issue, very, very important say component of the market and demand analysis, especially in the primary data process. Your questionnaire development process has to be more scientific, more logical, and we have to include the questions which are not directly hitting the people's sentiment, maybe at the same time helping you to get the relevant information also. We should not directly ask the questions like what is your income, what is your maybe the preferences, state based, should not. The question should not be straightforward. They should be designed in such a way people do not feel hurt because of any reason. And largely the question should be close ended. We have to give the options 1 to 5, because we normally use the 5-point or 7-point Likert scale. So we have to use that Likert scale starting with maybe the say 1 to 5 or maybe 1 to 7, and maybe the very satisfied to least satisfied or something like that. So we have to have close ended questionnaires, not very direct questions, but the questions which are indirect but most relevant, helping us to get the very, very relevant and reasonable information. Recruit and train the free field investigators. That's another important component. People should be informed. They should be maybe largely trained people. They may not be trained for this product or this survey, but otherwise they know what is the data collection process, how to go to the market, how to connect with the people, how to get the information from the people, how to talk to them. This all should be known to them. The basic etiquettes of the field investigators must be there, and the specific requirement of any product or any service can be taught to them. Their training can be given and they can be taken to the market. Then obtain the information as per the questionnaire from the sample and the sample of the respondents. So we have to go to them finally, give them the questionnaire, and we have to get the data, important data, and after that scrutinize the information gathered. We have to clean the data, scrutinize the data, because everything may not be important for us. So we have to data cleaning process is important. So we have to clean the data, and after that analyze that data and interpret it accordingly or as per the requirement of the project and the output which is going to be out of that data analysis. So we have to be very careful in this entire process, both secondary and primary data. Secondary data means the purpose identification is important, what for it was collected, how useful it is for us. In case of the primary data, we have to be very careful. What is the total population? What is going to be the sample size? What kind of the questions we are going to ask to the people, and how trained our field investigators are, and how effective your questionnaire is, and then whatever the data is collected, maybe from the secondary or the primary sources, we have to carefully analyze that, and after this analysis we have to draw the meaningful inferences and interpret those inferences for the benefit of the entrepreneur, or maybe the people who are going to launch a new product, new service, or going to maybe go for the expansion, diversification or growth of any particular product or any service by the existing companies or the existing ventures. Next step is the characterization of the market. So here it is very clearly written, based on the information gathered from the secondary sources and through the market survey. From the secondary sources and through the market survey, the market of the product or the service may be described in terms of the following, may be characterized or described in terms of the following. What you have to describe it in terms of? You have to describe it in terms of the effective demand in the past and present, because we will get the data or information after this data analysis that what was the demand in the past and what is the present status of that product or the service in the market. At what growth the stage of the market is there, because we have seen that maybe the different stages of the product or the service in the market. So initially it is at the initiation stage, then it comes the growth stage, then it comes the saturation or maturity, then it comes the decline stage. So we have seen that something, a trend like this, right? So in this, and after that it starts declining. So in this process we have to see that what is the effective demand and currently at what stage. Is it at the initial stage, or it is at the growing stage, it is at the saturation, or it is at declining stage. So we have to look at this, and we have to try to find out effective demand in the past and present. At what level we started, how it is growing, and presently how it is behaving, the product or the service, if it is already existing in the market. If it is going to be entirely a new concept, in that case you can find out if it is not in India, it is in the other countries. If it is in other countries, you refer to those countries and their data and their current status. And if it is entirely a new concept, then it is little difficult to go for the effective demand in the past and present. So we are going to take a very huge risk, which can be tremendous success also, which may not be a success, but we have to have something we have to do, and once we are going to a venture, we have to take some risk. So, but normally I think hardly there is anything in this world which is not there anywhere, existing anywhere. It can be in the different forms, different shapes, different sizes, but almost everything and many things are there in the market. And when we go for coming out with the new product, new service in the market, so we draw some inferences from the existing similar product or services in the market. So we have to assess that breakdown of the demand. We have to break down in terms of the income level, in terms of the geographies, in terms of the segments, right? So different ways we can have of breaking down of the demand, right? So for example, if we are going to manufacture different variants of a product, so it can be as per the price. So how many people are for this price, how many people are for the more price, or some say a higher price or something like that. Everything we have to be very careful geographically, that in this market, in this segment, the product is more popular, but in the next segment the product is existing, but still the scope for the growth is there. So we can target on that, we can focus upon that, all these things. And the price is another important component. I think it's the most important component in a country like India, or the emerging markets, which are more price sensitive, because people first go for the price. They go for other things also, but first people go for the price. So if you are able to keep the price under control, certainly largely your product is going to be a huge success. Next thing is the methods of distribution and the sales promotion. Distributors are going to play a very, very critical role, because mostly the products are going to be through the indirect marketing to the market. So if your distributors are not happy with you, or not going to be happy with you tomorrow because of any reason, so you have to be very careful in that case. You have to talk to the distributors first, establish the channels of distributions. If they are happy, they are going to support you like anything. They are going to sell your product in the market like anything. Even you are going to manufacture a mustard oil, you are going to manufacture the spices. Who will sell that mustard oil in the market to the customer? Not directly, we cannot do that. We have to go to the channels, retailers, wholesalers. We have to go to the different the total established channels of market, mustard oil, spices, or maybe rice, maybe wheat, flour, or anything which is consumable. So your channels have to be very supportive, distribution process has to be very supportive, and similarly we have to think about the sales promotion, that how to go for, say, further expansion and growth of the market. So how to promote the sales of the product, whether through print media or digital advertising, or maybe through some pamphlets, or maybe door-to-door advertising, or something like that. So we have to decide about that. And consumers, who are our consumers, their income level, age level, segment wise, we have to carefully understand, we have to know their behavior, their income level, their age level, their sentiments, their behavior. So that's another important component. Supply and competition. What is the supply situation in the market? Say you compare the supply situation in the global India or prior to the globalization. Prior to globalization, the problem was supply side was very weak. Only one or two companies are supplying you the steel. We are 100 crore people, and only one company was supplying the steel. So you can understand the plight of the people at that time. You talk about the cars you want to buy. Only one or two companies are manufacturing cars for us for 100 crore people, 1 billion people. You want to buy a scooter, only one company is serving the whole of the country, 1 billion people, 100 crore. You can understand the price and hegemony of that company. The monopolistic situation we were passing through, or we are staying in the market. And today you see the supply side. The best benefit of the globalization in India is supply side has improved like anything. You want to buy a car, you tell the price you want to pay, you will get the car. You want to buy a two-wheeler, you want to buy a four-wheeler, you want to buy anything, electronic product, consumer product. So because the supply side has improved, customer has become king, he has got the choices, and because of the improved strengthened supply side and competition, prices have come down. Quality has gone up, prices have come down, distribution system has become pro users, customers. So we have to characterize the market in which kind of the market we are going to work. What is the supply situation? What is the competition situation? And if you want to become another player in that situation, you have to sincerely give something new to the people so that they are bound to think about your product or your service, and they are going to give you some market share. And lastly, government policy. That's a very, very important thing. You all can always draw clues from the government budgets, economic survey, and the policies and programs of the different ministries, especially the ministry who is going to be the important for you because your product belongs to that particular ministry, that particular maybe the subset of the government. So, government policy is a big source of inspiration, support, financial aid, and overall understanding the direction of the government policies and programs. So, characterization of the market as a whole is an important consideration for making your product or venture very successful and to give you the output which you desire, which you need, and you want to become a successful entrepreneur in the market. So, this all we talked about is till now that we have to go for the situational analysis. We have to understand the situation in the market while beginning the demand and market and demand analysis. Then we have to collect the data from secondary and primary sources. After that, we have to characterize the market, we have to understand the market, we have to describe the market in different say ways and from the different perspectives. Once we have understood this whole thing, then I think the demand forecasting will not be a big challenge or something which is, you call it as a difficult, will not be, not at all be. And after this process, if you have forecasted any market, that may be significantly true to the exact results, and market forecasting results will be very, very supportive. So, before we go for the demand forecasting process, we will talk further about the data collection process and maybe the demand forecasting process, and we will learn in detail about the methods of demand forecasting. So, finally, after knowing about the data, sources of the data and the methods of demand forecasting, then we will be arriving at that how to go for finally the demand forecasting. So, we will stop here today, and in the next class, we will be talking about the methods of the demand forecasting, which are qualitative also, quantitative also. We will learn in nutshell that what are these methods of demand forecasting, how they are going to help us to assess the demand in the market for the product or the service, and how it is going to be helpful to all of us. So, till the time we start talking about the methods of demand forecasting, I will stop here, and in the next class we will start from here. Till then, thank you very much.